They seem to get buffed when they were already like okay, and then they get this buff, and then suddenly they become insane, and everyone's playing them. I guess another one that comes to mind to me is Jakiro. We still see him get played, but there was that time when he got buffed really heavily, and he was
The
just
time when Ice Path
yeah,
did insane damage level
yeah.
1, yeah.
When Ice Path was like the best spell in the game, and everyone was
It
first
was.
picking Jakiro every game, and it was absolutely insane. And we went from not seeing Jakiro at all, and then he got nerfed, and he kind of went completely out of favor immediately. And now he's an
He's
occasional
in a
pick
good
again.
spot now.
Yeah, we see him
Yeah.
get played. Like he's not overpowered like he was, but he still does get played. So it's
Yeah.
kind of interesting how Dota kind of goes up and down in
Yeah,
terms
for
of the
sure.
balance.
Navi, it's interesting that they actually chose not to ban the Naga because that was their strategy through a large part of the grand finals of TI3. I think they just don't fear 4FC's Naga nearly as much as they fear something like Alliance's Naga, and I can't blame them. Alliance's Naga is certainly something to be feared. They take out the Lone Druid because they know it's one of Curly's sort of signature heroes. Instead, Curly ends up picking the Nature's Prophet, and in fact, a very Alliance-ish draft coming out from 4FC here in general.
Yeah, I mean these are definitely two heroes that are sort of signature for players on Alliance. But that doesn't mean that other teams don't play them well
Oh
either.
yeah,
And we see 4FC all the time picking heroes like Nature's Prophet for Curly. Curly does play similar heroes, I guess, to what Admiral Bulldog often plays. Though maybe he plays a few more regularly than we would say for Bulldog. But Naga Siren, I think, is just so powerful now that every team is going to be picking her up as a support, even though it's kind of
yeah.
looks like it would be Alliance's thing with how the International went.
I mean, I think Alliance definitely developed the hero out and really explored every nook and cranny of how to use the hero as a support. I don't think they were even the first to really innovate running it, but they took the ball and ran with it to a tremendous extent. The question for 4FC here, I feel, is do you bother banning Jakiro because of the combo with Darkseer? In their position, I probably would, just because that is a very, very dangerous combination. They could put Kuroki on the Visage, Puppy on the Jakiro, and just have the mysterious stranger on Darkseer.
5 seconds remaining.
So I don't know. I would ban Jakiro, but it's not I guess mandatory. They ban OD, which is a hero that Navi doesn't especially favor, but Dendi is still really strong on it.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll go with the Jakiro here. I don't really necessarily love the Jakiro Visage support duo. I agree that Jakiro has a really great synergy with the Darkseer, but I don't know necessarily if that lane is going to be that strong if those are your two supports.
Hmm.
I guess it's possible that they could still do well. I wouldn't.
You can't really aggressive.
Yeah, I wouldn't
so I
go
think you're
aggressive
right.
with that.
Yeah.
And I think that might be something Navi would at least have in their mind at this stage of the draft. So if they're
Right.
going Jakiro, I don't think they'll pick it up at least
10
soon.
seconds remaining.
Sure, that's a good point. And 4FC has reduced a little of those dominant mid heroes that Dendi could go with. Fun thing is, there's still a tremendous variety left in the pool. He still has access to things like Queen of Pain, Templar Assassin, Puck, Pudge. While we're on the Pudge subject, Pudge a little less effective in a world with Naga Siren in though, because she can just song in response to hook.
Yeah, it's the song is very powerful, and snare is also just such a long disable to sort of just shut down, and it also has that channel breaking ability, so you can use it on him if he is dismembering one of your allies. It just feels like maybe you don't want to pick Pudge into a Naga.
No, I don't think you do. Yeah. I just wanted to mention that it's still in the pool, but we've already had our Pudge fill for today, so we don't need to see Pudge. It's like a Pudge a day is enough for happiness. Navi, meanwhile, pick up Alchemist. Alchemist is a hero that all of a sudden I feel like is a little underrated again. I don't know why we don't see this hero more often. He's really insanely strong, like to the point of absurdity, in my opinion. But a lot of teams have sort of drifted away from him. Maybe they're just bored of killing creeps.
Yeah, I mean, I can't blame teams for being bored of killing creeps. Sometimes I get bored of killing creeps too. I think everyone from time to time gets bored of killing creeps, except maybe like burning. Yeah, I mean, I can think of burning. Burning doesn't ever seem to get bored of killing creeps, as was demonstrated during the international, I think. But a lot of players maybe get bored of killing creeps. So we'll see. Yeah, I think Alchemist is definitely a strong hero still, and a viable pick, certainly.
10 seconds remaining.
I guess he didn't really maybe get all the success that people would have expected during the international. There were a lot of teams that were running Alchemist and weren't really getting
Reserve
there, I
time.
guess, with him. Because
Yeah,
I,
it was a
I think
little
it's
bit of Me
mostly
Too
because
syndrome,
it
I
was
guess.
they were running him not with they were a lot against
Dire
multi-core
team
lineups when they were
pick.
running sort of the single core though.
Right, right. And I don't know. I do think Alchemist. One of the not so nice things about this hero is that the other team knows exactly what to do. Basically, like they have a mission, and that mission is to run an aggressive tri-lane against you and try to put as much pressure on the Alchemist as possible and ensure that he doesn't farm. Thing is, even when he doesn't farm, he's
Ten
able to
seconds
make up a
remaining.
gold deficit faster than almost any other hero because he can just start leveling Grievel's Greed even late and amass a lot of gold. But you can see, by the way,
Players
4FC
turn to
definitely,
pick.
as soon as they see the Alchemist, their draft shifts into more of an aggressive tri-lane focusing roster. Like they add the Crystal Maiden and then Life Stealer. Now all of a sudden they can generate tremendous pressure in lane. Navi, for their part, they take the Rubik, one
10
of Kuroki's
seconds
absolute
remaining.
strongest heroes. And some of the steals could be very consequential
5
in this game.
seconds remaining.
Yeah, there are tons of great spells to steal. Whether it's going to be like Frostbite from Crystal Main could be a very powerful
Reserve
spell.
time.
Obviously, Naga has just so many amazing spells to steal. Though Sleep
Yeah.
is like nigh impossible to steal unless
seconds
the Naga
remaining.
really messes up.
Right.
And
Not easy, definitely.
yeah, Life Stealer also
5
a couple of his
seconds
spells.
remaining.
Rage, yeah.
Rage can always be tide turning if you expect to be able to kill the Rubik and then suddenly he's magic immune and you're like,
Dire
oh,
team
what happened?
ban.
But yeah, I think Rubik is probably a pretty good pick here. Do you
Yeah.
think we could possibly see Dendi on the Rubik? We already saw one Rubik mid today. Maybe it's a thing again.
I don't think so.
I don't
I
think
think
so either.
Kuroki is really going to want to play that Rubik if
10
it's available.
seconds
He
remaining.
likes that hero a lot. I don't know. The thing
5
is it
seconds
4FC first pick coming out of this or Navi? I think it's Navi.
It's Navi.
So giving
Reserve
away that
time.
like if they pick something that just can't go mid, and it's clear that they're running the Rubik, I'm not surprised by this puck ban. By the way, I was about to
Right,
say
yeah,
I
I
think
do
Force
agree.
ban puck. Yeah, no, I think it's more like the Dendi Timbersaw. I was about to say that does leave Timbersaw as a very strong mid and able to deal a lot of damage. Does give them a little bit of multi-core capacity. Timbersaw, of course, is never going to be an auto attack threat, but he does so much pure damage that for about 35 minutes, that really doesn't matter. I like this Timbersaw pick a lot, honestly. I think it's, especially with the Queen of Pain ban leading into it, Queen of Pain, one of the heroes that's better able to handle Timbersaw in the mid. Now there's
10
not a lot of
seconds
favorable
remaining.
matchups that 4FC can draft, simply because they banned a lot of the good
5
matchups.
seconds
Like,
remaining.
they took out Puck, they took out SF, they took out OD, and Navi took out Quap. And now you have
Reserve
options,
time.
but they're not really fantastic ones.
Yeah, I don't think you really would love putting like a melee hero up against
10
Timbersaw. It just
seconds
makes that
remaining.
God,
early
no.
death so easy to harass with.
Especially not strength melee. You
Yeah,
can do
and
it, go
that's-
with an Agi
I was
melee.
thinking they might go with this Dragonite. Now they have.
Yep.
It looks like they're going to send Dragonite mid, but I
Yeah.
just feel like that's a terrible matchup to or head into that Timbersaw.
It's not a good matchup. I don't think you necessarily die if you play conservatively enough, especially because it's DK and worst comes to worst, he bottle crows and sits under tower. So it's not a fatally bad matchup. The bigger issue is, in my opinion, the correct solution to Timbersaw is to have a decent lane against him, and then when the supports come, you completely flip it and just kill the Timbersaw repeatedly. And the later the Bloodstone comes, the less you have to worry. Doing that with Dragon Knight is pretty difficult. You basically can't even bother until level 6 or so when DK can do the range stun.
Yeah, we'll see how it ends up working out for them because it does look like what's going to be with the current lineup.
10
But waiting for the
seconds
players to
remaining.
pick up their heroes now, we get to see what everyone's playing. It is
5
going to be
seconds.
up
5
one on the
seconds
Darkseer,
remaining.
so looks like he will be playing their offlane. I wonder who that is. I really wonder who that is.
Do you have the Steam community thing
Yeah,
to pop
I
up?
clicked on it. Stand in that. Something in
Prepare
Russian.
for battle.
Oh no! Why don't you Skype me the Steam community link? Sorry, I disabled it in game for lag purposes, so I don't actually. But if you send me the link, I'll figure it out. I'll do a little bit of detective work.
Alright, alright. There we go. And now I'm going to turn the overlay off. I did it before we started talking about the game this time, guys. Alright. So, gonna go over the players. We got 4FC on the dire side this time. We're gonna have the stand-in Stampa covering the support Crystal Maiden. Karaki, the other stand-in, will be playing support Nagasarian, and that will leave Giftig to be on the Lifestealer, farming in their safe lane actually, so not running this tri-lane aggressively. Mid lane it's gonna be Blomberg handling the Dragonite, and leaves off lane to be handled by Krilly on the Nature's Prophet.
30 seconds
I
to battle.
think it's Nexus, maybe? It looks like it might be Nexus.
Doesn't
At any
Nexus
rate.
play for some team though?
Yeah, so actually maybe. But
So,
there's first of all, there's two different Nexuses.
oh, are
There's
there
one
two
of them's
Nexus?
yeah.
I had no
One
idea.
of them's Nexus and one of them's like Nex Onus.
Oh
But
god.
I don't know. Either way, we'll call him Igor actually, because that's his primary name.
Okay.
So Igor, he's gonna be on the Darkseer. In the middle, we'll have Dendi on Timbersaw. Sorry, I feel like I'm treading ground. Did you already get this team?
No.
No, you did. Okay. And then Pycat playing as 1 on the Alchemist will be joined in the tri-lane by Kuroki on his signature Rubik, and Puppy piloting the Visage.
So Pycat just wants to differentiate himself from Havost, right? Because Havost was 4.
He's saying he's even worse?
I don't,
Is that
or
what
is
they
was
call him?
1 worse than 4? I don't know.
Yes.
Oh, one's worse
One
than
is-
4.
Though, yes, the whole thing was that it was 4 out of 10, right?
Oh, is that what it was?
Well, it's a long story, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well then, I guess that's what I'm saying. I've already made the reference, so I can't back out now. So we're gonna have this middle matchup. It's gonna be Timbersaw going up against DK. I just gotta imagine this is such a great matchup for Timbersaw. DK could survive in it, certainly. He has to play pretty passive until he gets his bottle, though, like you mentioned during the draft. I don't know if that's.
It's
going
not a
to-
fun lane.
Yeah, it's definitely not gonna be fun for Blomberg, and Timbersaw's gonna get pretty much free control of the last hitting department.
Yep. It looks like Blomberg. Yeah, I don't see him winning this lane. I honestly am not even that interested in, because I think it'll just be depressing for DK. Currently, it's pushed up under the tower, so he's actually maybe going to get some last hits here. No such luck. They didn't pull him either. They just really haven't given Blomberg a lot of respect in this lane. I guess they're like, well, you're going to lose to Dendi anyway, so we'll just make you suffer.
I think
But this does mean that Igor is going to get pretty good farm on the Darkseer in the jungle. The tri-lane should be able to more or less dominate Krilly. I don't really see Nature's Prophet having a good time here either. He has gone for all in on the Midas, by the way. He really wants as fast of a Midas as possible. But the longer he spends in this against this tri-lane, the slower that Midas is going to be, really.
Yeah, just sitting on the Gloves of Haste down in this bottom lane. He's already getting chased out all the way back to that tier 2 tower, so he's not even really getting experience. He's sitting at 0 XP right now. So, yeah, it's not going well for Krilly. I'm surprised he went all out on this Midas build, knowing what was going to be coming out. I can't imagine Navi would have run this particular tri-lane aggressively, so he had to know he was running into it.
Well, I'm surprised that 4FC didn't choose to run an aggressive tri-lane with Krilly solo safe. I feel like the Midas could have been just fine if he was up against nobody or up against Darkseer. It would have been okay. I don't know, and maybe a failure of Nerva on the lanes? I don't think Lifestealer CM Naga is that bad against Rubik, Village, Alk. It's not easy, but it's not undoable.
Yeah, I think they definitely could have at least tried, but it's always risky running the aggressive tri-lane. Maybe they weren't just necessarily confident in their ability to take the fight in the tri-lane, and anytime you mess that up, you don't really get a second chance. You have to basically abandon the tri-lane at that point, and it makes your lanes kind of awkward and sets you pretty far behind. So if they weren't confident, I can understand backing out, but with their draft, it really looked like they were going for it.
I think it's certainly concerning this early. Stompa also doing okay, I feel, but that they're going to be a little bit behind on levels. Honestly, Navi aren't doing that well in levels either because they had to pressure Krilly out. I don't think 4FC are screwed by any sense. They can get levels. For instance, Crystal Maiden's an amazing jungler, so he can get levels in the jungle a little more easily and without having to make quite as much effort as heroes like Rubik have to. Like you can see, he's just going to get the Center Conqueror, and that's a free level 3. If you do want to do this, you need more ranks of Arcane Aura than you normally would take, so we'll see if he goes for that. Sort of measure what his commitment level to this is going to be. Stun on Dendi, really smart of Blomberg, actually, because actually without that stun, I think he dies. So, very nicely done by him.
Yeah, I don't know if he necessarily dies without the stun because the supports weren't really that close, but it does make sure he's safe, and they're actually going in now. He's going to get lifted, unfortunately, so this might be his death.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah,
Poor Blomberg. This is just so hard. I don't know. This is just like almost an impossible lane to... It's so unfun to play, too. Dendi is 25 for 9 now. Blomberg's 13 for 1. I don't know what to do for Dragon Knight here. You can start rotating people in, but they're not going to kill Dendi.
Yeah, it's definitely very problematic, and that's just the kind of rotations that Navi love to do. They always come into the mid lane, help out Dendi, try and secure him as much of an advantage as possible in this early game, and it's just Blomberg. He can't do anything about it. He's playing this strength melee hero, so when Dendi wants to come up
Radiant's top tower
and just
is
sort
under
of
attack.
whirling death him, it just does so much damage, particularly because he is a strength hero and it lowers your strength,
Radiant structures are
or
fortified.
your base stat.
Right, right. Yeah, I don't know about this. I think they still had other options for the mid that I think would have done better against Timbersaw. Even if they wanted somebody like Dragon Knight with pushing potential, even something like maybe like Juggernaut mid, something we used to see S4 do for Alliance, and at least he's agi, right? Like at least he isn't completely destroyed by Whirling Death. And yeah, it's definitely troublesome. The fact is, Lifestealer is farming well, and Giftig went the early Midas, so we got this Midas at about 3.5. Problem is, Pycat's going Midas too, and Lifestealer, he can try to race Alchemist, but this is a Grievel's Greed first Alchemist approach, so Lifestealer will not be able to keep up, even if he did get a faster Midas. And it was a lot faster, like it was 75 seconds faster than Alchemists, but all that doesn't amount to a hill of gold in this crazy world.
Yeah, it's sort of the problem that you come to with most carries. You can try and race Alchemist, but you have to sit and question, are you actually racing Alchemist, or are you just kind of giving him an advantage by even pretending that you are? And it's Nakes now, he's got the Midas, he's going to get a lot of gold out, he's getting his second use out of it, like a full minute before Pycat gets his second use, so it was about a minute, it looks like, ahead of time. So I don't know if that's definitely not going to be enough. It gives him a little bit of net worth now, but as Pycat's able to just sit down here in this bottom lane, that gold advantage is going to go his way eventually.
Yeah, and I mean, Na'Vi are already getting a little bit more out of the map. They're jungling Darkseers just a little ahead of where Krilly is. In fact, Darkseer's level 6, whereas Krilly's down at level 4. And Krilly, he only has 12 last hits. Despite the fact that he has not died, he is still holding a Gloves of Haste and no other items in his inventory. Now, as long as he keeps not dying, he will get that Midas eventually, maybe a little faster than average, but certainly this Nature's Prophet is doing nothing much other than that. In fact, he walks back and just TPs back to the lane. He can hold off this push for a while, I don't know. They will get the top tower, so 4FC draws first tower blood, if not first actual blood. I mean, Lifestealer will have this window in which he's pretty strong. I'm having trouble seeing the way forward for 4FC. Dragon Knight and Nature's Prophet can push, but not if Nature's Prophet is under level. Dragon Knight will probably be under farmed. There's a lot of problems that they have to sift through to be able to win this.
Yeah, and they're also going to have to deal with the fact that Dendi is getting a ton of farm in that mid lane. He's not even really that far behind the Lifestealer, who is getting complete free farm with a Midas in that top lane. He's about 1k ahead of the Dragon Knight in terms of net worth. That's a pretty big advantage, and they're going
lift on Blomberg.
Yeah.
He's dead, I think. Dendi is covering the exits with that Chakram.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate. Chakram is so effective for a slow, and he's just going to go down. Now Stompa ports in. Looks like he's not really going to be able to do too much. Dendi thinking about going in from behind, but Kroki's just able to walk away. And now Dendi standing in the tower, thinking about re-engaging. It looks like he might go on Krilly.
I think he can kill Krilly. I think he can easily do it. He hasn't. There's no creeps, unfortunately. So he decides not to dive. It was a little iffy because they did TP 2 supports over, but that's the thing, 4SC TP both supports over, no effect, right? Like nothing actually happened, and they end up just using 2 TPs worth of gold to no avail. I mean, they're leveling, but only on parity, and in fact, Kuroki is a little bit ahead on levels.
Yeah, so it's just wasted time, and anytime you're kind of already playing from behind and you're wasting that time, that's where Navi starts to punish you. They're going to start out farming you, out leveling you, and then when they start to put the pressure on, that's when those differences start to make up. So they're going to have to try and figure out what they're going to do here and move around, get the farm. Krilly does have his Midas recipe finished now, so he's going to start being able to get those levels, get that gold in the jungle, but while he's in this jungle, it is going to open it up for Pycat and maybe those supports to come back down here and try and take down this tower finally.
Bottom tower is under attack.
Yeah, I think the Midas for Krilly, it's actually at a fine time. It's not amazing, but it's really not bad either. So he will start catching up. He'll start catching up on levels badly needed relative to this Darkseer, where Eager is almost, how far is he? He's pretty close to Mechanism, actually, only about 1k off, so that'll definitely help quite a bit towards the progress that he needs to make an impact. And once they have that Mechanism, I don't know what 4FC's answer is to the team.
Yeah, they're going in on Blomberg in the mid lane again, taking a lot of damage. He's trying to run away, but the Chakram's going to be off cooldown momentarily, and with that throw. Should be the end. And then he gets last hit. Kuroki, though, getting netted in the back of the fight. Puppey walks into the Riptide as well. He gets frozen. He's going to go down. Kuroki taking a lot of damage. Can they finish him off is the question. He's taking quite a bit. Need a couple more last hits. It looks like he's going to be fine, but now Stomp is in trouble with that telekinesis. And Kuroki trying to get away. Then he takes quite a bit of damage, but Pycat is here as well. He's no Chemical Rage off cooldown anymore, so Kuroki is just going to be able to walk away. So they actually teleport in their farming alchemist there, and I don't think they necessarily needed to, since they weren't able to get that other kill.
I thought actually Kuroki played that really well. Very good movement and a very well timed mirror image from him. So he gets away. They do lose Stompa, but yeah, as you said, Navi paid a lot in time to actually manage that. I think they'll still be okay with it. Pycat participated in 1 kill. He in fact got 1 kill by killing the Crystal Maiden with Unstable Concoction. And he's going straight for Shadow Blade. And I think this is the exact right build for Navi to go here. Is the 4 additional pressure, get that Shadow Blade for Alchemist, get that capacity to stun basically anybody other than Lifestealer, and hit them where it hurts, because 4FC, with the 2 Midases, there's just this long period of time in which these heroes are not at their peak value for net worth, right? Like their net worth is going to seem higher than the real value of the hero is.
Yeah, they're going to have it kind of inflated by this item that doesn't actually give you really its gold's worth in abilities, stats, what have you. It gives you that extra farming ability, of course, but that's not helpful when the pressure comes out from Navi. They start laying into your towers and forcing you to either defend them or, you know, give up way more map control than you really want to at this stage of the game. So yeah, I think it's definitely a good build to come out from this Alchemist. They can put that pressure on it. It looks like Bloodstone's going to be the choice from Dendi.
Oh yeah,
and he's not even really that far off of. He's
really not.
Like, and that's going to be a very fast Bloodstone. I assume he's going to disassemble the Arcane Boots to finish it off faster.
He's 1700 off from it, so he's well more than halfway towards it. This is going to be a great Bloodstone timing. That's exactly what you don't want from Timbersaw. And they've got people lurking. Kuroki is back here in case people try to dive Dendi, which they may go for right now. There's the ensnare. Dendi still gets the Timber Chain, and it's just going to turn right around. Decent back from Alta Oda, by the way. He's a pub player. Oh, what a stun.
Yeah, so they're able to get the kill on Nature's Prophet with that stun. Oh, he's going to
kill brutal. The acid spray got Blomberg down to where just a Fade Bolt would kill him as soon as Naga let go of Rubik.
And Stomp is in trouble too, gonna go down to double kill for Dendi. Just kills piling up on the side of Navi right now. There you look at those 3 kills there. The song was used and it doesn't even save the Dragonite or the Crystal Maiden, so not a really well used song, only saves the Naga Siren. And of course Lifestealer, who was farming up in that top lane. So mid tower going to be going down here, it looks like. Navi in a pretty good position to go for it, but they're not really committing as hard as I would have expected.
I think they'll go. They're just waiting for the next creep wave. They don't want to take any extra tower damage if they don't have to. Pycat manages to still somehow take down.
Yeah.
That was but it's fine. It's only a little bit of damage. You can chemical rage it back up. That extra health and mana regen. They can push through to the tier. Oh, nice fortify actually. I think they can get the deny. Yeah, they can.
Yeah, it looks like we might have a fight anyways. Alchemist's going to get ensnared here. There's a big vacuum and then 4 heroes. And then the Chakram doing big damage to Dendi with that Whirling Death. That's 3 heroes down, 4 heroes down. Double kill for Puppey, double kill for Dendi. Didn't work out the way 4FC wanted it to. They don't get the deny on the tower either. Darkseer getting that last hit. And now there's a buyback on Lifestealer too. That's
well, his
impressive.
Midas had just come up, so he's going to defray a lot of the expense of the buyback by not missing the Midas activation. Not to mention it'll give him XP. I actually don't blame him for the buyback at all. I think it's intelligent, but only getting Pycat in exchange for... I mean, they're just getting rolled at this point. With Dendi having Bloodstone and already picking up some charges on it, the fact that Pycat's finished with Shadow Blade, 4FC are in very, very, very deep. I just wanted to mention the Darkseer player is actually a pub player who's sort of gaining some currency. He plays with a lot of streamers and stuff, so his name is Alta Oda. And he's been having a pretty good game, honestly. He's been at the fringe of these fights, participated in 7 of 12. Farmed okay in the beginning, got the quick mechanism. 4FC aren't even thinking about a mechanism yet. And that last Vac was really strong as well. Vac into Timbersaw spells is... It's no Vac into Jakira. Well, it's actually even better than Vac into Jakira spells, just to use your mid slot for it.
Yeah, it doesn't have the disable potential that Vacuum into like an Ice Path does, but the burst damage you can get from Vacuum into like a Whirling Death and a Chakram and a Timber Chain through, it's just so much damage, and that's exactly what we saw happen to 4FC in that mid lane. They got bursted down so quickly by all of the magic damage that Timbersaw was able to put out, and then being piled up in a ball by that Vacuum. It was really just a great Vacuum. It's rough for 4FC, and I don't think they were expecting it to go that way, but it did go that way, and now they're way behind.
I just don't know. I thought their draft in the last game against Alliance was really, really good. Maybe it's just that they scrim Alliance all the time. They're fellow Scandinavians, but they just don't scrim against Na'Vi. But like their draft against Alliance was really good, and they just lost based on execution. I don't love their draft here, and the lanes were really weird. And as a result, they're just getting punished for the decisions. And those Midases are not paying off. I don't know if they ever will, because look at Dendi.
Yeah, he's just diving into a 2 tower chasing Curly. Gifting comes in, he's no fear.
F's does this guy give? Like, almost none, right?
Yeah, now Gifting's gonna be in trouble as well. As soon as that rage comes up, then he can go on him. And
oh god, Gifting is, I think, probably dead. Dendi can just die. Whirling? Yep.
it's just Dendi he had like a 12.5 minute Bloodstone.
Oh god, Rubik is infested.
Oh my god, they're just gonna keep going, aren't they?
Yeah,
for the
why
tier
not?
3. Yeah.
Surge too.
He's just so tanky, and it's just you're killing a Dragonite behind a tier 3 tower in 15 minutes.
Oh, God.
What do you expect to happen? It's 16-2. 4C, you're right. Their lanes just felt like they didn't do much of anything, and when you gave Dendi complete control of that lane by picking the Dragonite and just kind of saying, well,
it's the player
whatever.
And the hero, like Timbersaw, is a hero who, if you can't effectively pressure him early, if you can't hold him off Bloodstone, he's one of the best like out and out damage dealers in the mid game in Dota, if not the best dealer. Like if you actually calculate out how much pure damage he can deal to a target, Dragon Knight. This is the most questionable pick of the draft to me, because Dragon Knight is tanky, right? He's got good armor. You know what hero cares the least about armor out of anybody? Timbersaw.
Yeah, it's absolutely true.
He's in a
He's
bit of
taking
trouble.
a lot of damage now.
But Timber Chain, lol.
Turns out that he can just still get away from pretty much everything 4FC has. Yeah, actually everything. Literal everything. Oh no, they have the stun and Dragonite. Okay, there's one hard lockdown on Dragonite, but the ensnare from Naga he can Timber Chain away from.
Oh god,
he's just diving once again, charging at them, and that ensnare just doesn't really do anything. It stops him from moving, but he's still gonna Timber Chain around, deal the damage to you, and that freeze again doesn't do anything. He's just gonna continue Timber Chaining around. The ice though is doing pretty big, but here comes his team, and those are the heroes down. The support's just getting killed off. Did Kuroki steal? Yeah.
Yes, he did.
Okay.
Freezing Field.
Okay.
It smells good, man. It's so good.
Does that smell good?
People underrate that spell. Oh, I love this Dendi Blink Dagger. This gives him so much mobility. I actually think Freezing Field is a deeply underrated spell. It like won Liquid a lot of teamfights that they wouldn't have won without it during TI3. I think Crystal Maiden picking up on the power of the hero was one of the big reasons why they had so much success at TI3. Of course they didn't win, but I think Liquid did better than a lot of people expected.
Alright, that's a fair point. I wish I could rate Freezing Field lower. That's somewhat how bad of an opinion I have of that spell.
Oh man, come on! So you know that Freezing Field does 7 times more damage than Chain Frost when Chain Frost hits every bounce.
Yeah. But
it's so good.
It's way more likely that Chain Frost hits every bounce than Freezing Field hits even a little bit the way you want it to. I've had way too many experiences.
That's a good point. You have to be careful with the positioning, but yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's sort of the same reason Witch Doctor doesn't get played. They have these big channeling ultimates, but you have to be like in melee range of the entire enemy team.
That's true. You're right. You're right. Well, that's why you go. That's why you go hardcore jungle Midas Shadowblade Crystal Maiden.
Yes. Yes. I wish we would see that. Then I would be all for the Freezing Field.
Alright, fair enough. Fair enough. I can live with that. Kuroki has his Blink Dagger for Rubik, and they have Blink Dagger for Timbersaw. This is pretty terrifying. And of course Shadowblade is available for Alchemist. Blink Alchemist is not that bad either, but Shadowblade is just such a good item that there's really no reason not to take it. Blomberg, I just feel like this DK is basically struck out. He's buying out for a BKB, or the beginning of an Ogre Club. Pike got in a bit of trouble, maybe, but he is surged.
Yeah, they're going at him. He's going to go down in the end. Blomberg gets some trouble, but looks like he's going to be able to get away. The wall just not doing enough. Kuroki taking quite a bit of damage as well. Gifted continuing to chase. Puppy now caught in the trees. It looks like he's going to be fine, though. Now there's Dendi. Going to try and Timber Chain, but there is the sleep that's going to stop him in the tracks. The buyback from Pycat. Going to not really do too much because they are disengaging Blink Dagger from Dendy going forward, doing big damage, but he's in a little bit of trouble now. Getting Timber Chain away, trying his best to survive, and he will end up going down. So maybe a little too aggressive there. Gifted gonna heal up, infesting in Blomberg. There comes the stun. Wow. From
yeah. And Rubik gets
Rubik
the kill with the infest. Legit. I mean, honestly, Dendy, why not die? Like, sure, you snap your godlike streak, but it's an instantaneous respawn. So just the fact that he provided the setup for Pycat to come back and get the kills, like Pycat bought back so he could pick up kills on the back of that. So without Dendy's setup, I don't think Pycat, they don't stay on low ground long enough for Pycat to re-enter the fight. So I actually think it was an intelligent suicide on Dendy's part. It provides further map control for Na'Vi because they picked up the tower on the back of it. It's the kind of thing that seems kind of wacky, but it's intelligent wackiness, and that's kind of Na'Vi's MO.
Yeah, and if that's the plan, then he doesn't necessarily lose even gold by doing that. You can buy items until you only have reliable gold left, realistically. And now he's pushing out the top lane with Pycat down the bottom lane with some support from Puppy. They're gonna be able to take at least the tier 1 bottom. Looks like Dendy's completely alone in this top lane, but he's not a particularly great pushing hero.
Yeah, good at clearing waves, bad at, yeah.
His right clicks are mediocre at best. Particularly since his ult makes it so he can't right click.
Right, yeah. Pretty anemic right click ability. Krilly using that Shadow Amulet. Doesn't quite have the blade yet, so... But will they spot him out? That's my question. They find... Oh!
Hey, you moved. Krilly, you moved.
Sick.
Krilly, why'd you move, Krilly? Dead. So yeah, good vacuum coming out from... Okay, what's his name? I'm gonna remember it this time.
Alta Oda.
Alto Oda. Okay.
Another Blink obtained now for Darkseer, and now they have 3 players with Blink and 1 player with Shadowblade. Seems pretty scary. I don't know why Puppy won't go Blink Visage when it's obviously the superior choice.
Yeah, I mean, Blink Visage, how do you even lose?
Shadowblade Visage, really. I would go Shadowblade, why not? Leverage is powerful auto attacks.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Is Prophet item a bug? Should you be saying that in all chat?
I don't, you should not be saying that in all chat.
I don't know who that is.
I don't know. I think it's a caster.
Yeah, but regardless, probably shouldn't be saying that in all chat.
Probably not.
Okay, so looks like something happened there, but now they know I have an item.
Sure.
I guess his Shadowblade wouldn't build when he got back in base, is what he was asking.
Yeah, I've had some weird bugs with that recently too. I don't know what it is, but either way. I mean, Giftig, he's getting close to, if he wants something like a Cuirass, I guess, and that'll give them some defense against, particularly, Cuirass is an excellent item against Alchemist, because you can try to bring his armor down, and it's very important that you bring your armor up against his multiple physical, I mean, his auto attacks and unstable concoction. Issue is, I'm not sure Giftig will beat him to the Cuirass. Dendy, meanwhile, going Dagon, what a fan-favorite player this guy is. Blink, Dagon, Timbersaw, why not?
Yeah, you get that like 12 and a half minute Bloodstone, go immediately into Blink Dagger so you can get even more aggressive. Because Timber Chain, sometimes there aren't trees around. You still gotta be able to get in. And then just start building levels of Dagon. You need to be able to do as much damage as possible in the span of a half a second.
It's no Veil. Veil's so underrated.
Yeah, but Veil's not particularly good with Timbersaw's abilities.
Yeah, that's true. Well, yeah. Well, Visage will be happy.
That's true. It makes Soul Assumption do a lot of damage.
What it's worth, ForFC are doing a decent job of split pushing. I mean, they took both of those bottom towers down with Lifestealer and Nature's Prophet, while Na'Vi were just sort of farting around getting kills. And the tier 1 mid is falling as well, so... don't get me wrong, Na'Vi are prohibitively ahead in this game, but there's a limit to how much they can mess around before they probably want to start going high ground.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty typical way that we see Na'Vi playing these sorts of games, where it feels like they're just so far ahead, and then they kind of screw around for a little while until they don't feel like they're so far ahead, and then they'll just take a big team fight and try and close it out. So we'll see if that's going to be the case, if they're eventually going to go for one of these big team fights, or if Navi's just going to keep cutting down trees for some reason. He doesn't want to be able to get in the base, I guess.
Have you not listened to the lore of the character, Kanaz?
Oh, that's right. He hates trees. He's just role playing his character. That makes sense. Yeah. I mean, trees murdered his family.
Well, to role play Timbersaw, you need a quelling blade.
has been
Ah, nice little courier snipe. Honestly, Krilly is kind of like secretly playing his heart out. Even with this 0-4 start, he's now cleared out, helped to clear out 4 Navi towers. It's incumbent upon Navi, I think, to actually try to end this game, or the split push is not going to get less annoying. It's actually going to get more annoying. And Navi don't have a really great way of deflecting. Like, they don't have like a storm or like a puck or somebody who can just stop Krilly from being able to split push very effectively. Like, if Dendi comes back, for instance, Dendi has no way to actually stop the TP. He just has to hope he kills Nature's Prophet fast enough.
I don't think that's necessarily a difficult prospect, considering how farmed he is. He's got 2 levels
True.
of Dagon right
Nature's
now.
Prophet does have 872
Yeah,
HP.
and he has Dagon 2, which is 500 magic
Indeed.
damage. Like, I think his magic burst is enough to just kill Krelly.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm just trying to find a way back in this for
No, I
my
agree.
boys.
He's doing a good
That's
job
the-
of split pushing and creating that space, but he is eventually going to need to get a little bit tankier if he wants to be resilient in any way to Dendi just completely blowing him up.
Right. Alright. I don't know. I mean, I think they're doing a good job of trying to stabilize. My main issue is Blomberg still doesn't have his BKB, but of course he can't get it because he can't really leave his base. So he's about 450 off from it. I do think BKB will help a lot for pretty much all of their heroes just because of, you know, Timbersaw and how good that item is against him because he never poses an auto-attacking threat. But here we go. Navi, they have the cuirass complete for Pycat. They can do a lot of damage to this tower. This will meld. And they don't have fortification. So
Yeah, the tower's taking a lot of damage already, down to about a third HP, and Fortsy, they're moving forward trying to pretend that they're going to be able to defend it. And it's certainly possible that they will. Navi are going to keep putting the pressure on, though, waiting for just the next creep wave. And I mean, they took away effectively 2/3 of the HP on that tower with 1 creep wave.
Chemical Rage is done, though, so it's going to be a lot slower this time, where Visage Familiars, of course, are really good tower damage, but only until they run out of charges. And that was good by 4FC. One of the really neat things that they did is that Giftig baited out the stun from both Visage Familiars, but they didn't actually land on anything. So immediately, one of Navi's good initiation tools of landing a big AoE stun was gone for basically 30 seconds. So that was a neat little play. And by this point, Krilly, he's almost reached the tier 3 point himself. Of course, he's starting at an enormous deficit, and they have the next Chemical Rage. So this is do or die time for 4FC.
Deny on the tower from Giftig. It's kind of a big deal. It looks like that Visage Failure is going to go down. Crystal Maiden going to appreciate that 100 gold she's able to get there, but the turn 3 is going to go down. Nature's Prophet is pushing in the bottom lane, though, and he's racing them. And it doesn't look like Navi are really reacting. They need to either commit or go back. They can't just afford to sit here and let him split push. And Krilly dealing the damage. Dendi's going to be the one that goes back, but with Dendi back, can they continue pushing in the top lane is the real question. Krilly, right, there he is.
Got him. Barely. Barely, though. Honestly, Krilly was doing alright for a while there.
Hey.
And he almost gets the racks. Like, this Nature's Prophet can present a credible threat. Keep in mind, he has buyback. In fact, I wouldn't mind him. Not now that the trees are gone.
Oh no. Well, that's a Dagon 4 now, so it's not going to be so close next time, it would appear. 2 additional levels of Dagon just providing that additional magic damage.
But I think Puppy knows.
I don't think he spotted them, actually. I think those familiar, they don't
no,
really have that
he's got a
much range.
BKB. Glomberg is in so much trouble right now, he doesn't get it. This is really bad. Not BKBing in time was almost, I think, fatal there.
Yeah, and he doesn't have the buyback either, so that's going to be really problematic. There's a snare. Going to come up on the Alchemist, doing what he can. The big vacuum. Going to catch 3. Darkseer's still alive for the moment, but he's going to go down. Giftig able to finish him off. Karaki. Pretty low on HP. Now Giftig going to get stunned up. They're going to take him down. And he does have the buyback, so he can come back into the game if he wants. And Krilly already used his. Has to be careful not to die again. Because if he goes down, I think it's probably going to be game. And Dendi just charging right in, going on Krilly.
Oh, God.
There he is. No buyback this time. And that buyback from Giftig is too slow. And Dendi's just hunting.
Yeah. I think that fight could have been different if Dragon Knight lands the BKB. Having Blomberg versus not having Blomberg is just enormous there. But unfortunately, they do lose Blomberg. He had just bought out for it. It was such a critical item for their teamfight hopes, and he doesn't get to use it. And then, of course, Dendi blows up Krilly very quickly. So 4FC, I actually thought that their defense was pretty good. Shows off the power of Nature's Prophet to just be incredibly annoying even on a team that's way behind. But they're at death's door. We'll see how they try to defend this.
Yeah, they're continuing trying to fight here. Giftig just going to go down. That Dagon just so much damage. When you're behind and the enemy team has a very high level Dagon, it's brutal, having a
Yeah.
700 magic damage nuke that he can just use, and the cooldown even goes down with levels. Did he take a lot of damage? He might go down. The tower's
Nice
not
tree.
going to hit him though, so he's going to be able to get away. Stun comes off on Blomberg. He's taking quite a bit of damage on the Dragonite, and it looks like he might go down. Dendy did go down to the Timbersaw ult, or Nature's Prophet ult in the meantime, but the support, Crystal Maid as well as the Dragonite, going to get finished off there, and the rest of Navi just going to head towards the middle lane and start going on these barracks once again. Dendy already respawned because of the Bloodstone, which means that Nature's Prophet can't even split push effectively.
Right, and I think that's it. They called GG. It was a good game. I think Navi definitely showing pretty strong dominance overall, especially Dendy. And it just goes to show Timbersaw. You got to do something to try to control this guy, especially when he's played by one of the best mids in the world, or he will just cut you to pieces.
Yeah, I think like you can go probably in a lane that breaks even, or you could try and set one up that goes to your advantage, but giving one that's so obviously heavily favored towards the Timbersaw is just a really dangerous prospect, and I feel like that's what happened here. He got out of control.
For sure. Navi, that was their first Star Ladder game, so very impressive performance for their first game back. And I mean, they are playing with two stand-ins, but I think we know Pycat's good, and Alta Oda availed himself very well in the Darkseer, and we'll see them again right now against, I think, Power Rangers.
Yeah, so stay tuned for that, guys. We'll be back momentarily. Thanks for coming.